eyes of fear, which the figure locks on your door. By guns, close yourself off. The eyes of love. Instead, see all of us as one. Here's what we can do to change the world right now. To a better ride. Take all that money we spend on weapons and defense each year and instead spend it feeding, clothing, educating the poor world which will live many times over, not one human being excluded, and we can explore space together, both inner and outer, forever.
Probably should have poured the coffee before the intro started rolling, guys. Probably should have done that. Probably should have done that. Sorry. Now, those of you that were here for the stream yesterday, I watched it back, part of it last night, and I noticed that the mic had a really tinny quality to it. Let me know if that starts happening again once I start the music, because I have a feeling that that's a problem. But let me know, okay? It's good to see everybody. Hope everyone's having a great morning. All right, so I see Kieran Ball who says no. Now move along about boxes. That's fair. I see Judge Mason. Good morning, boys. Good morning to you as well, sir. Edmo says good morning from the beach. Ooh, fancy from the beach. Yeah, Salzburg is my favorite pre-work activity. I'm not sure if you said it in that voice or not, but we're gonna make it that way. All right, brother, that's cool. I see Karen Ball is saying hello to everybody again. Evening all, 2310 here. Gonna read a book for a while, but you fine folks were on. Perfect. Like it. Brisbane. Nothing like a morning headbang. I mean, that's fair. That's fair. I got up this morning and just like yesterday, I woke up pretty much with Suze because she had to go to work. I was able to get some rest, but not quite sleep for about a half hour or so, and I was just like, I'm doing a great pin robot voice. Okay, awesome. Let's try this. Now, all right, now that there's no music playing, I'm willing to bet my mic is miraculously sounding better, right? Is that correct? I'm going to guess yes. And I hope that's true. Or are you or are you Soundwave today? Lots of warble. Okay. It's not any better. Okay. I can fix it. That's okay. That's why I ask these questions. Should be fine now. Should be just fine now. Should be fine because you can't hear the music. Well, really? It's still scratchy? Doesn't make any fucking sense. check all my connections, It's plugged in, right? Should be good. All right, good now. Okay. All right. So I got to figure out why that is because it was working before. I got to figure out. Well, that's something for me to figure out. It's not for you guys. It's not for you guys. 5x5. Haven't heard that in a while. That's fair. That's fair. I'm sure it has something to do with something I did with my voice meter. I'll bet you dollars to donuts that's the problem. And I think I know what did it, and I'm unhappy that I'm going to have to undo it, but that's okay because it's designed for like better performance and all this other stuff. And apparently, like it won't create crackle for what I'm hearing, but it does create crackle for what I'm sending, and that's just poo-poo platter. Poo-poo platter. That's all right. I'll listen to real music this morning. You guys just won't be able to hear it. It's good for me. Happy for that. So yeah, I got up, and I have an agenda of what I want to get done today. And granted, it's a relatively short agenda. There's not a lot to do. And I was like, well, I don't want to sit here and like watch a movie. I don't want to play a video game right now. I don't have to reorganize the toys. I'm like, I'd love to unbox those box toys, but I have nowhere else to put them. I'm like, wait a minute. Am I saving those boxes? So I decided to just kind of go, well, let's talk about that, right? Because if you look at the Battlefield Warriors box, I would argue it's probably the best cover art in the entire Motu Origins line, with the exception of Castle Grayskull. Just in as much as it's got a striking contrast compared to the other stuff, which always has this kind of like darker patina to it. And then you have the Terror of Triclops, which is really just a mailer box, but I like it so much I'm definitely going to keep it 5 ever, because why not? Plus, it's a good place to keep the card back in the bubble. The bubble! So, it's just one of those things. Kieran Ball says, so you thought you would bother us. You're right. Yes, I did see James Salzberg you do that you cut the tops off to save the art, and I've thought about that. I've really thought about that. What I would probably extend that to, honestly, is the whole back, right? Or just do the whole back. In a case of a box like this, where it's like the whole box is very, very unique, I would probably keep that. I have, just so you're aware, to date, I'm going to move this stand here. There we go. That's more like it. And I'm going pretty fancy with these acrylic stands. I've got 6 of them now, of varying sizes and widths and stuff. With Marvel Legends boxes, they don't really flatten that well if you need to keep the blister stuff. So those you just kind of have to stack. And I remember my first experience with a dyed-in-the-wool figure collector of the modern era. And it's a guy named Kyle from Incantation, who, if you listen to a band whose initials are AC, he has a mustache. He's a huge horror fan, and he collects a lot of stuff. And he's a guy that will buy 2. One to take out of the box, one to keep in the box. And his entire crawl space is just packed with storage bins full of boxed figures. And in some cases, empty boxes, which is kind of crazy. Ted Millich has a closet full of Black Series boxes with no plans for him. I get it. I really do. Like in the bottom of my Motu Origins box or storage bin is a ton of flattened boxes because I don't want to get rid of them. Hey, Toshiro Redfield, how the hell are you? It's good to see you. For those of you not in the know, Toshiro's calling me Mama Jim because over on Twitch they call me Mom. It's a long story. Well, not that long, but it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. So I'm kind of the grind mom out in those places. But Toshiro is one of my most uh, staunch supporters, and it's good to see you over here, Toshiro. Karen Ball says, no disrespect to anyone, but I only keep boxes if the toy is inside mint in box. I remove the toy for display, the box goes straight to recycling. I don't blame you. Like, I totally get it. When it comes to keeping the card back, like you guys have seen me defrock many Motu Origins figure on this channel, and I keep the card back. Bubbles and blisters go away. Unless the bubble's like really unique, like it has like something on the thing. And even then, like it's just I'd like to have it. And with the card backs, I just like looking at them the same way I would like a baseball card if I collected those, or a comic book if it came with them, which I save those as well. So I think everyone's different, and there's no wrong way to do this. This was an idea to just have a discussion to see where everyone's head's at on it. Like on one hand, I love looking at this set inside of the box. It's a nice looking set. But I really want to take it out and I really want to play with them. The only reason that I don't is I do not have room to store them properly if I do that. Plus the whole base for, that'll extend Grayskull. Like, I don't see the point of taking that out when my Grayskull's not even out of the box. So it's a space thing for me. Otherwise, they would have been out of the box first night I had them. Because I really didn't bother keeping boxes until Motu Origins now have a great appreciation for the art, reminiscent of the art of the 60s Konami reprints. Absolutely. I agree with that. There's a company which makes resale clamshells for Motu. Alright. That's pretty cool. I mean, I don't see the point of resealing them. Like, that's going in this other direction. But if people want to do that, like, that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. Right, Haley says, most of my vintage toys have been loose. Only obtained a few carded Buck Rogers and one vintage Action Force Mouton. Love the Buck Rogers card art. Me too, man. Me too. Oh, Joe. I'm waiting for this to show up in Streamlabs or StreamYard so I can put it up on the screen, but that's crazy. Jody Becky says, I had a cat piss on some Black Series Star Wars yesterday. No joke. Now I have more loose. Shake my head. Dude, I know all about that, having had many cats and many collectibles over the years. Not just this stuff. I have a Napalm Death poster that's over 5 foot tall. So it's just shy of 2 meters for those of you that are 2 metric tall. That's how big the poster is, like that wide and shit. And I had a custom frame, cost me like $100 US just to get the frame. At the time that I originally purchased it, the poster was only $12. Well, and I had it for 9 years, 10 years, something like that. And I had it stored in a side room. I had a 2-bedroom apartment condo. And I always had this like thing in my head. I was going to turn it into like a miniature recording studio, but with the way that my things were working at the time, I couldn't really afford to have a decent camera or anything independent. So I had to do all my work stuff in my living room. It's just how it ended up working out. So that second bedroom just kind of languished and became storage. And the poster was leaned up against the window, which that was problem number one. Even though it had blinds and curtains on, it was still leaned up against there. And so I go to move. Because my friends and I had bought a house, and by that I mean they bought the house, but I was helping them pay for it while they were getting ramped up out of college. And we were going to split the house eventually. There's this whole thing. But the long story short on that was that they ended up falling in love with the house, which I knew they would. And I said, hey, are you guys okay? You're good? They're like, yeah, we're good. I'm like, okay, I'm going to get my own place again. I go to move this poster,
and I found that there was a piss stain covering like the whole bottom right quadrant of it. Went to rebuy the poster 2 years later after I moved back into my own place. That poster cost me $60, and I still haven't framed it. So it's not just toys that this happens to. It's a real pain in the ass. I'm going to catch up on comments here. Ted Millet says, yeah, I'm all loose. Don't see the point buying a toy and not opening it. I'm not doing it for the money. I agree. Some people just like to display them that way, though. You know, like I get it. Like it looks nice. It's for the people that want like the look but don't want to play with them. That's fair. Display is a thing. Cost me some eBay sales and play. Ah, well, hasn't happened in years. Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. Cats are jerks. Brendan says that's why she's occupying most of the bed while the Aussie Bulldog is on the floor next to me. Fair enough. Michael Schaefer, first of all, Captain, says, I know I'm in the minority as I do not collect modern toys, but I don't quite understand why the Hasbro 6-inch Black Series Star Wars carton box packaging is beloved by so many. It's underwhelming to me. You might be in the minority for toy collectors at large, but I would agree with you. Like, I think it's. I think the first time you see it, you're like, okay, it's minimalist. It lets the figure shine through, right? But the second you remove the figure from that package, like, what's the point? It's a black box with Star Wars written in white on it. I agree with you, sir. I agree with you. And in case y'all haven't read the description, if you have the means to PM me on any platform, meaning if we're friends on social media or you're a patron, I'm happy to send out the StreamYard link to anyone who wants to hop on and have a discussion. So this is meant to be kind of a whole thing, if you want to participate. If people just want to hear me talk and just do in chat, because I know it's early for a lot of people, that's okay too. But I want you to know the option is there. Kieran Ball says, of course, the problem collectors have is if the toy has issues, such as batteries included, rubber decay. Thunderbird toys from the 90s and vintage actors may have had these problems. Yes, very much so. I agree 100%. I hit the wrong one. Where did it jump on me? It did. Live long and prosper. I don't have to struggle to do that. I train myself to do that crap. Bjorn Jorgensen says, space is an issue for me. Easier to store them in the boxes for now. Depending upon the figure line, I would agree. As you saw yesterday, oh! Melinda, good morning to you, ma'am. I'm serious about that adoption. Those cookies looked amazing. And, I'm just saying, I'm available for adoptions. Just saying. It's good to see you, though. Good morning. But yeah, Bjorn was saying space is a thing. Well, if you were on the stream yesterday, you probably saw that bin was full. That's all Motu figures. All of it. And there's no boxes in there that aren't flattened. So that was just baggy thing after baggy thing after baggy thing to the brim, right? Melinda says, I'm happy to adopt, but we're at our limit with boxes. I gotta be honest, if Retro Blasting HQ were my new home, I was being adopted by Michael and Melinda, although there'd be some weird questions about age, because we're all like right in that middle plane there, where it'd be kind of like, who's the dad now? But if that were to happen, I would have no problem burning all of my toy boxes, all of them, in effigy in the backyard. I would sleep on my toy bins, no problem. I wouldn't even eat that much. I intermittent fast half the week. That's how I maintain my girlish figure. Not a problem. We can negotiate. Kieran Ball is showing solidarity with Michael Schaefer saying the new Black Series packaging is ugly. I agree. It's black. And don't get me wrong, I like black, but, James Hulsberg says, I opened a Mint on Card Cyborg, cost me $315.89, and I owned it at the seller's booth in the show to play with, opened it at the seller's booth in the show to play with the action loose rules. See, that's ballsy, but I like it, though. To me, it's funny that people would would say, like, you can't do that. So, like, for example, I got this little guy here. He's just so cute. Sue's got him for me while she was out and about looking for stuff. And the packaging is very lackluster. Like, I thought the package was damaged, but no, it's just weird. And there's really nothing to these whatsoever. The card back is absolute garbage. He just literally just stands there and goes, ah, bah, 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 which is great because he's cute as hell. I love him, little velociraptor buddy. But the packaging is completely useless, right? So, and Karen Ball is telling me to get in line, like, hey, be a package deal. I don't care. I have no problem with this. Yeah, you know it's time to trim the beard and the mustache when coffee visibly gets stuck in your mustache. It is definitely time to bring all the fur in. All of the fur. I'm way overdue for a haircut. I was going to go last weekend, and then shit came up. But I think with boxes, there are very few things where... Belinda says, when you're cute, you don't have to be good at anything, so I'm told. I have heard tell of such things. It's never been said to me. But I would say I understand why you've been told this. The thing is where your logic completely fails you there, Melinda, is that you're a very capable human being, and you just happen to have both traits in spades, and there you go. Brendan says, I do love cards that are written in multi-languages, give me a chance to use my French. I mean, that's fair. I think it's a great thing. But when you've got, like, look at all this. That's just a lot of text that tells me nothing. It tells me nothing at all. Meanwhile, I've got this card that just looks like it's broken. Like, who decided this was a good idea? Someone at Mattel, apparently. Like, there's 4 languages on here. This was manufactured in Canada, which is what I call it, just to be funny. I love Canada. Like, and it's even taped shut here. Like, what? Like, whose idea was this? And kids 3 or under should not play with this, according to this little guy right there. And I agree. I mean, that's just a bad idea. Matter of fact, just for solidarity, watch this. This trash. No more. Gone. Bye. See ya. Bjorn Jorgensen asks, what kid's going to read all that? I'm like, one that speaks 4 languages, maybe. I don't fucking know, brother. I have no idea. But, like, with the boxes, like, I have a very small list of ones that I'm definitely going to keep intact, period. One's the Castle Grayskull, just because it's an amazing box. And I have an idea on how I'm going to do that. I'm not going to use tape. I'm going to use Velcro dots. And I'm going to glue them, well, not glue them, but, like, use the adhesive, do, like, 3 of them across the flap, and just Velcro them shut. That way I can open it, close it whenever I want. Ted Miller says card backs nowadays suck nowadays compared to He-Man. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Brendan Haley is in solidarity saying, yep, 2010 is legal, card backs are shit. Hate when they don't show the rest of the toy range. Seeing toys are only bought by children, never get the joy that we got from planning our toy conquest. Yeah, that's the thing. The cross-sell was the way that you would daydream about having all these different toys, right? Like the Superpowers collection, you had his little kind of catalogs that came with them, which I took for granted at the time. And now to find one is damn near impossible. I almost paid, before I got the Hall of Justice that I have, I almost paid an extra $100 for one because I had one of those with it. Because you don't see them ever. But the Hall of Justice was in worse condition than the one I ended up with. So it's like, oh, Ted, do what you gotta do. I'll see you when you blow the stink off you. But I think there's a love affair with card art. But then there's things that go beyond, like this flocked Panther box. The box itself has a texture to it, and it's really creepy, and it makes my skin crawl a little bit. But it's unique, and it's pretty. But I can say that with absolute certainty, without hesitation, there's been many things in my life that I found to be visually appealing, but as soon as I touched them, my skin crawled. So, don't know if I want to keep that around, just as a precedent that having been set in my lifetime. You're an organization that says, the cross sell in the back was awesome. Always love seeing other figures. Definitely. Kieran Paul's like, we all thank you for doing that, Ted. That's fair. Again, don't know if that's how your voice sounds or not. That's just my other person voice. The alternative is the weird nasally one, which doesn't apply to anyone here. Like, I'm glad you're going to take a shower. Like, that's no one here. So, Bjorn Jorgensen saw a flocked Panther at Walmart yesterday. There are folks looking for those. There are folks looking for those in our community. I know that for a fact. I'll be damned if I can remember who, but there are folks looking for them. Brendan Haley says, Bjorn, you are teaching me toy collector terms I need to write down, i.e. cross-sell. Yeah, I picked that all through osmosis myself, and I'm like, well, of course that's what it's called, right? So I just use it all the time because it's there. Is there any cross-sell on Panther? No, there is. Look at that. Let's see. We got Battle Armor He-Man, She-Ra, Roboto, Battle Armor Skeletor, Merman, regular old Panther. That seems kind of cheap, doesn't it? Like, you just got the super deluxe version. Get the regular old busted up grape jelly version right here. Battle Cat and Zodak. The Zodak just kind of hangs out by himself on the cross-sell. It's just like, hey, you're not going to find this fucker. Good luck on eBay. Yeah. It's horrible. It's horrible. You learned mint on card from this stream? MOC? That's fair. I get you. Karen Ball says it's close, but of course I have English accent. Yeah, but I'm not good at doing that on demand the way that like Michael is. Like I can do it. Like, hello, nice to see you. It's about as far as I can go with it before it goes way off the rails. Then when you add like another like inflection to it, like hello, nice to see you. Like it's close, but it's not. It's very Americanized and bullshit. And then there's Mint in Box, otherwise known as Men in Black. He's just looking to this. Bing! You know. I keep forgetting you guys can't hear the music, because if I do that, YouTube will shut me down. Twitch, I can get away with a little bit better. I'm listening to like old school Sepultura and Death and Suffocation, and you guys don't get to hear any of that shit. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry about that. More coffee in my mouth. James, have a great day at work, my friend. Love you to death. Be safe. Kevin Jorgensen says, of course, mint on card stand for something else when you're into Lego. Well, of course it does. Well, what's it stand for? You're just not gonna tell us? I hear it all the time. It's in my head. I get that. That's you're a metalhead. It's a joke because you is yeah. I get it. Yes, yeah. Right. Okay. Kieran Ball says, "Let me know what you're gonna do an English accent." It's fair. It's fair. Like I said, highly Americanized, hackneyed bullshit. Like that's not an English accent. I know. Oh, that's hot. Yeah, like this morning I was listening to Bloodbath. I think it was Bloodbath came on, and it was one of those Chucky songs. I think it was Like Fire, and it's just like I'm just sitting here, almost in the dark, no one else around. I'm just like, wow, okay, one of those mornings, huh? Then like some new Cannibal came on, and I was like, It was just like the songs were just kind of coming in short order. Kind of woke me up and got me get the old brains synapses firing and stuff. What's your own creation? Is it the MOC? Are you going to share? If you've coined a phrase for Lego, for MOC, like mostly old cats, maturely ostracized caravans, miniature, oversized carrots, like what is it? What's it mean? You gotta tell us. You can't just dangle that and be like, nope, you can't have it. That's not fair. It's not fair. Oh, gee. Okay. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. God, I'm an idiot. Welcome to the stream, folks. Where I'm old and stupid, apparently. And unclean because of the coffee sticking to the mustache. I've got it all going on for me. Wait for it. Penny drops. No, as soon as I realized that was the actual acronym, like, I'm not that stupid. Like, I understand. I understand the concept. I have no reading comprehension skills at, 8:45 in the morning, apparently. I'm not even hungover or anything. I got plenty of sleep. That's the thing, Michael Schaefer. You're not wrong. We didn't say you were stupid, just slow. We're slow to the draw on that one. But sometimes my brain's going so fast, I think I zoom right past the obvious and have to come back around to it. So I'm moving at a fast pace, but I take the long way around because I'm trying too hard to, like, think ahead of things. Blessing and a curse, brother. Blessing and a curse. Blessing and a curse. But boxes are cool, man. Like they can be great, but they take up more space. They serve no practical purpose if you're not displaying them specifically for inbox purposes. So I think it's a struggle for a lot of people. But I think it really does just boil down to, are you going to display them in the box or not? And like, I'm probably not going to be the person that hangs the card backs up. I know that Sal cuts like the tops off, or cuts out the artwork itself and sticks it on the side of a wall, more like a fridge or something, or a desk or a shelf. It's a shelf, which is great. That's cool. I don't see myself doing that. What I might do is take the unique parts of all the card backs from each wave of Motu Origins and affix it to a black or a dark backing and put it in a frame, and then like have each wave represented that way. I think that would be cool. I don't know yet. It all depends upon what the situation is when we end up moving into a larger place and how much room I actually have, and if I can actually bring myself to cut this stuff, right? Because there's a certain degree, and I think some people will admit to this, others will deny it, but there's a certain... I know Michael's talked about this briefly somewhere along the way. Part of the benefit of having a collection of anything that's uncommon, or that is displayed in an uncommon way, right? Is that when you have people over, they want to see it, and you get the joy of sharing that with other people. And I like giving them little stingers. Like, oh, wow, you have a flocked panther. I'm like, yes, and I still have the box as well. Like, you still have the box? Yeah. Or, Like if they'll pull like an old death metal CD off the shelf, they're like, "Wow, you have this." I'm like, "Yeah, that's not even the first pressing. The first pressing is in the next room." They're like, "Oh my god!" Whatever it is, like something that just kind of gives them that much more of a joyful experience. These little things of like, "Wow, where do you see this?" That there's a lot of fun to be had there. Like not even from a standpoint of like bragging about, "Ooh, I have this," but just to see the look on their face of joy where they're like, "Oh my god, I've never seen that before. I want to see that. This would be great." I enjoy giving someone that, right? Because I can tell you a lot of times I've been like in a store or a museum or someone's house and I see something I've never seen in the flesh and you're just like, holy wow, So I like giving that to other people, and hanging on to things like boxes can contribute to that. So I guess it depends. So Taylor Ryan, welcome to the stream. Says, keep the boxes. The artwork is part of the nostalgia of the Motu toy collection. Is part of the note to Disney Universe. Imagine boxes an exciting part of the toy line. Well, I wouldn't go so far as to make it an imperative to tell people what to do. I think everyone collects in their own way, and I don't think there's any wrong way to do it. I say open your stuff. I'm very much a box opening, de-bubbling kind of guy. But I hang on to packaging. Like I hang on to the card backs, I hang on to the boxes. And like I said earlier in the stream, the only reason I still have these two boxes, in package, because I have nowhere to put the loose figures safely. So they're safer in the box for right now. Otherwise, the boxes would be disassembled and flattened. But I would keep them because I do like the artwork. But I think also, too, there's a whole thing where, you mentioned here that it's part of the nostalgia. Well, like, the artwork is, sure. But when I was a kid, I was born in 77, and I was right there when Motu first came out, like, first thing. We didn't save any of the boxes. I think the Castle Grayskull one stuck around for a little bit, like a couple weeks, just because my dad kept forgetting to take it out for the garbage, or maybe he was admiring it. I don't know. He might have been considering framing it, to be honest, because he's that kind of dude. That's the kind of thing he would have done. But I don't find that the packaging is part of the nostalgia beyond like that first look of it on the card, right? To me, big part of the nostalgia is the excitement of getting that figure open and going like, wow, I have them now and they're in my hand. So I think that depending on how you interpret that statement, it could go a couple different ways. I don't think you're wrong, I just have a different perspective. Brother Haley says, I managed to get a 6x6-inch Motu card, just the exploding red rocks. Now I need a friend to scan it into a 3-ish size for the rear wallpaper behind Motu. Okay. Only kept Panther's box. Fair enough. Taylor Ryan's talking about something we had just mentioned. In a project where we took all the card backs and the figures, put them inside of a frame, made a collage. Yeah, it's something that I'm thinking about doing like on a per wave basis, because I don't want to have to wait until the line's over to do this. So I was thinking like wave 1 or like by year, maybe. That might work. There's a couple different things one could do to make that happen. But I'm not yet at a point where I'd be comfortable cutting up the card backs that I have. That's kind of the dilemma that you run into. When I first started collecting Motu Origins, I was under this delusion that I was going to keep, and Michael Schaefer probably remembers this, but I was under the delusion I was going to keep the bubbles, blisters, and all. That didn't last long. Because as soon as I started getting a lot of them in, I was like, I don't know where to put these damn things, and it got pretty crazy. Kieran Ball says, I buy and sell toys to finance my hobby, so for me, mint in box is tied to the toy's monetary value. I don't disagree with that statement at all. I certainly am going to revere something that is sealed in box if in good condition as of higher value intrinsically. For sure. I don't have him handy. He's across the room and I can't move the table right now. But the mint on card Robin of Locksley, the longbow Robin that I got a couple days ago. I specifically bought him because he was mint on card because I wanted to make sure everything inside was okay. Granted, the accessories within were not the ones I was looking for, which I was like, oh, that's dumb. So now I'm just probably going to end up with this random Prince of Thieves mint on card figure. Or I might start once a month getting myself one of them and amass a collection for no reason. I have no love for that movie. It was a fine movie. I enjoyed it for what it was. I enjoyed Bryan Adams' songs unironically. But I don't have, a nostalgic attachment to that movie beyond, reminding me of the time period when it came out. But then you get one of those boxes, those figures in your hand, and there's just something about the card back. Like, it evokes the Star Wars stuff a little bit because it's very similar in the design. And there's something otherworldly about those figures. It's just difficult to describe. So I don't know, man. I might start getting them. I don't know. Bjorn Jorgensen says there's only a couple figures that I may never take out of the box. 2 Von Erich wrestler figures minty. That's fair. That makes sense. Anthony Whitehead, thanks for being here. Says, hey Jim, I like the old vintage boxes from the line that I like and save them new stuff I don't collect. There you go. I think everyone's going to be a little bit different in that regard. For example, the G1 original Transformers boxes I think are brilliant. Do a great job of displaying the toy. But aside from the stats on the back, the box does really nothing for me at this stage of my life. Not when I can look anywhere on the internet for 8 seconds and find the same grid formation on anything remotely retro, any synthwave generic wallpaper thing. So it's just that no longer holds any meaning for me. That particular style of artwork, because if you have one, you have all of them for the most part. Although one could probably argue the same thing with the Motu, regular card backs for the figures, because they're pretty much the same artwork on the front, right? So I think it's a matter of what appeals to a certain degree. With the Superpowers stuff, I thought about getting replica or reproduction card backs. I have no intention of putting figures on those card backs. I just like the card backs. And those would be a cool thing to display. So what I would probably do there is get them all by series and get 2 sets of them. So there's one frame that has all the front artwork and then one frame that has all the back artwork to it. You just put them side by side like artwork. And do the same thing for Series 2, and then Series 3, I'd be like, oh wait, there was a Series 3? Fuck that. I don't buy that shit. That's how I would treat it. In fact, I kind of treat Superpowers Collection Series 3 like the redheaded stepchild of the whole thing. I can say that because I got some red in me, so don't worry about it. But here's a question. Are Star Wars Black Series aside, because we've discussed that, are there any toys that you think the packaging is so ugly you cannot wait to throw away the packaging even though the toys are pretty good? At any point in history. What are the ugliest boxes that have good toys in them? Because none spring to mind, aside from the aforementioned Transformers where it's a grid on black. That's cool. Caught my eye as a kid, but as soon as you take the toy out, it's what am I looking at? What is this, a fucking checkerboard? We're going to play chess now? Tic-tac-toe? But it's not ugly, it's just generic. Bjorn Jorgensen says, you treat the Superpowers line like I treat the Terminator movies, there are only 2 of them. I would say 3 of them at this point, because I really did like Dark Fate. That movie had a lot of problems with it. But you could tell they were really legitimately trying. I like the director of that film very much. I think he does a very good job with action, and he's good with keeping things moving at a pretty good pace. So I'm kind of of the mind there's 3. But I own all of them. Well, not all of them. I own the first 3. I don't think I have a hard copy of Salvation. I might. Fuck the rest of them until Dark Fate, which I do have, because I rather enjoyed that. I thought that was it doesn't hurt anything. Like you can treat it as a completely separate thing, which is kind of the genius of it. Jordan Organ says the boxes on the newer Retro Figures come in kind of sucks. Kind of a cross sell on the back though. Okay, so it's kind of lackluster. I also found that the Masters of the WWE Universe card backs to be rather kind of meh. Look like someone's slush puppy machine threw up all over the front of it. And then the back is like just aping the Origins card back, which is okay. But I had to laugh yesterday when I finally took the bubbles off those 2 figures. And again, it's figures, not figures. It's figures. Okay. Well, I took the bubbles off. I got the figures out. I just kind of went, okay. Well, the figures are actually a lot nicer than I thought they would be. But the comic books are literally just 1 page folded in half. Like, there's no attempt. 0 attempt. And it's just like, wow. Could you be any more lazy? It's crazy. Revenge of the Sith figure cards were ugly to you? Okay. Ray Haley says, Bjorn, I'm with you. 2 Terminator films, though I like Conan the Destroyer over Barbarian. Destroyer reminded me of the comic styling. I think that somewhere between Conan the Barbarian and Conan the Destroyer is probably where those movies needed to be. Because Conan the Destroyer had a sense of adventure and just enough humor. Maybe a little too much. Conan the Barbarian had some humor, but it was kind of pull you out of the darkness of everything. And I don't know. Like, I feel like if they were going to do another one, I don't know who the hell you would get to play Conan this day and age. I think the best possible casting you could have had was Jason Momoa, and that's Jason Momoa. He's one of those dudes that when you put him in a role, I'm like, oh look, Jason Momoa is playing this character. Like, I can't buy this individual as another character. It's kind of difficult. Karen Ball says, I appreciate your thoughts. There are only 2 Terminator films. End of discussion. Not a fact. It's an opinion. It's an opinion. There are many, 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 many films that have the word Terminator in the title. Some are supposed to be in the same continuity of stories. Many are not. There are some that are good. Many that are not. It's okay. If you want, I'll send you a blankie if it helps. I don't know. Just kidding. But it's just the whole, like, that's with toys. You run into the same stuff though. Like, there are some folks that, and had I seen this first, I might not have bought. Well, who am I kidding? I would have, but I would have had a second thought about buying the non-Flox Panther. I just don't like the color scheme on it. Because I'm like, retail completist, I was happy to get both. But it doesn't mean that the other one's not a valid toy or whatever. I just prefer, I don't know what argument I'm trying to make here. I don't know. Brendan Haley says, wait. Opinions are facts opinions. Damn it, I forget where we ended up on that point. I don't think there was an ending to that point originally. But I have a feeling that tomorrow night's stream over on Retro Blasting might have a definition of that coming up. Karen Ball says there's only 1 Conan film, and that's Arnold's the Barbarian. End of discussion. Wow, you put on your sassy pants this morning. Or tonight, or I guess it would be afternoon for you, right? Bjorn says, what are some toy lines that have great card backs, boxes, but have terrible figures? Most of them. Arguably, most of them. Oh, jeez, Michael. He says, people, give Jim shit because you all have feels about Terminator films beyond T2. I also like Terminator 3 Fight Me. Joe Rando's over a useless hill to die on. For what it was, at the time, Terminator 3 was, and wait for it was fine. It's an enjoyable movie, and it kind of took some of the mythos and turned it on its head, and kind of said, well, yeah, there's no fate but what you make for yourself, but that doesn't mean you irrevocably change everything. And it introduced the idea of a different kind of fate and destiny, and I thought that was cool. There were some things about it that were hokey, but there are some things about every single movie in that franchise that's a little hokey. Like, what's the dog's name? Max. It was a deft, clandestine move. But at the same time, I'm like, what's the dog's name? It's just kind of a thing. It's weird, you know. But, you know. But thank you, Michael. I appreciate you, brother. Brenda says, Barbarian is like Robert E. Howard's short books, but the visual styling of the Destroyer is the comics. Yeah. Agreed. By the way, the two would have been perfect spot for Conan films to be. Yeah. I think between the two is probably the most, for lack of a better term, it's the safest place for it to exist. You want to get a little bit of extremity, a little bit of gore. You want some of the dark tone, but you also want that adventurism that's inherent. So, it's... The problem is that films, generally speaking, tend to want to lean into the widest possible audience most of the time. You're talking about like studio films, is where they tend to go, especially Dino De Laurentiis thought everything he did was going to turn into gold and be the greatest thing ever. And it usually wasn't. But it didn't stop him throwing a shitload of money at the screen. And what we got was a lot of fun films, right? But I still feel like, even though I love both of those films for different reasons, I don't know if we're ever going to get like the perfect Conan film. I don't think it's possible at this point, unless they do something to reintroduce the character in other media, so it becomes part of the social consciousness again a little bit, and that the MPA gets its panties out of a wad collectively, because they don't. I don't get it. It's like, what's wrong with an ultra-violent film, really? I'm old enough to watch it, let me watch it. Let me throw money at the screen. Deadpool proved you could do that. So, and I don't mean to, like, pull out Deadpool as, like, this golden goose of a movie that, like, oh, well, look what you can do with this and that. It wasn't a perfect movie either. It was basically a 90-minute extension of the trailer. They just took the trailer and injected all the backstory as to what made that trailer story beat work, and then added an ending to it. Not the most brilliant writing I've ever seen, but pretty smart, I must say, given the constraints that they had. Bjorn Jurgen says, I will say I enjoyed parts of Dark Fate, though. Fair enough. Kieran Ball asks, who let Michael French in here? He can let himself in. He has a key. Anytime he wants. Melinda here referencing Deadpool, I'm sure, says it was pretty much perfect, though. I would agree. I would agree 100% that for what I was looking for out of a Deadpool film, it definitely hit all the marks pretty well. The things that it did not hit on that people complained about, I don't think you can really do. I hate to use the term unfilmable, but I think there are aspects of that character that really are difficult to capture in cinema, right? Because I disagree with folks that say that The Watchmen was completely unfilmable. In as much as if you look at the ultimate cut of that film, which is an ungodly 5 hours long, because it has a director's cut, which is super long, plus the Black Freighter comic book, all interweaved in the way the comic book is made. That's as close as you're going to get, right? But I would agree that there are aspects of that storytelling that are intrinsic, they're inherent to that medium, so you can't film some things. I understand that. It doesn't mean you can't make a viable film about the subject matter. I think people get really all up in a huff about that stuff. So with Deadpool, I think they were much closer to the mark than The Watchmen, even the Ultimate Cut was, but I think they were both good. Karen Ball says, okay, I'll admit, you guys can like the other Terminator films with Conan the Destroyer. Just don't say you like J.J. Arsehole Star Trek. The first time that I watched the first one, I was like, this is a popcorn movie for stupid popcorn people. And I admired what they were attempting to do, even if they fell flat doing it. And I will say that what's the name of the guy who played Spock? Oh, man. Zachary Quinto. Wasted on that film. Absolutely wasted on that film. If you were going to reboot Star Trek, you got the right Spock, but you got the wrong writers, the wrong set designers, and the wrong director, frankly. I think that he was a good choice for what they wanted out of it, but what they wanted out of it was arguably a bad idea. Once again, somewhere between that J.J. Abrams style, super hepped up action, supercharged thing, and, Star Trek 2, somewhere between those two styles, where you have some action, but it's like it's more of a drama than it is like a, hey, whoa, boom, boom, boom. That's where a good Star Trek movie is for me. I think Star Trek 6, even though it's not the best story, in terms of its execution, probably where a Star Trek movie should be. But that's a whole other conversation. Brendan Haley says, I have a greater appreciation now for the Red Sonja film after watching the panel's video a couple months ago. I'm glad to hear you say that. I always loved the movie. I loved watching it on television. And that panel, I actually bought a copy of it on disc. I was like, oh, I don't have that. And I couldn't believe that I didn't have that, because I love that movie. It's a great movie. I wasn't on that panel, but it was great. Newcastle, 6666, an extra 6, because he's many blocks away from Satan. Beer for breakfast over here. Well, cheers to you, and wish you well. Welcome to the stream. How much is like Deadpool 2 better? I do too. However, without Deadpool 1, there is no Deadpool 2, etc. ad nausea. Deadmo says, looking forward to Dune for another unfilmable story. I mean, I have zero interest in that movie. Zero. The first movie, I was too young when it came out. I didn't get it. Someone got me a Dune toy for no reason that I can discern. And it was the guy that has all the on his face. And I was like, why did you get me this? I don't understand. Like, I never understood why I had that toy. I did not have any idea. But when it comes out, I'll wait to see what people think of it. And if people are like, this is the Dune I've been waiting for. Like, if Dyed and the Wolf fans are like, hey, this is really good, I'll watch it. But I'm not going to waste my time otherwise. Your Norkin says, having never seen any of the original Star Trek movies, shows, actually like the movies. Well, you were the audience they were hoping would see it. You were the audience they were hoping would see it. They took all the brains out of Star Trek and just made it into action schlock, which is fine. They can do that, but I didn't particularly dig it. Bjorn Brendan is trying to get Bjorn to watch The Wrath of Khan. Definitely World War II Navy film with space, you bet. Michael Schaefer says, Jar Jar was openly a non-Trek fan and thought that Trek, Jar Jar as in J.J. Abrams. Took me a second. I got there. JJ was openly a non-Trek fan and thought what Trek knew was make it more like Star Wars, which is missing the point entirely. I agree with that statement, but I feel like for what they were trying to do with the franchise was to reinvigorate it for a new audience. I would argue that's probably the best direction to take if you're trying to get non-fans in on it. But I think what they should have done was, as soon as they hooked a lot of the mainstream fans, flip the script on them, quite literally, to where you have a more Trekky Trek for the second one. They had an opportunity to do that. And parts of the second Star Trek film, Into Darkness, it hints that they were maybe originally trying to go for that, but they failed miserably. I'm Khan. And, 90% of the audience is, I've heard that name, but who? I don't understand the significance of this. And Kirk and Spock are like, what the fuck? I don't care. They're just like, and? My name's Jim. Kirk. What? What's the deal? It's just funny to me. It's crazy. Ted Milch has heard good things, presumably, about Dune. Nicholas Meyer was a non-Trek fan, made the best Trek films because he didn't try to make it something it wasn't. I would agree with that, Michael Schaefer. But also, you have to bear in mind that when he went into Star Trek II, he said, let's go back to basics. Because he went and watched every single episode of the original series and latched on to Space Seed. Whereas JJ, I didn't hear any tell of him going back to watch the old series. Like, he didn't really care. So it's like different approaches. But you're right. I understand the point you're making. But you don't have to be a Trek fan to get it right. I agree with you 100%. For sure. Newcastle says, I just saw the set of Dune figures, LG in 1984. No accessories for $250. They're expensive, but wanting them for a while. Head sculpt on the Sting Freed is one of the best from the 80s. I mean, they were good-looking toys at the time. I just had, you got to remember, in 84, I was heavy into Transformers, G.I. Joe, Superpowers collection. When someone walks in with this, 6 to 8 inch figure from a movie that I'm too young to really understand or appreciate, I'm like, what is this? What is this? In a world where I don't have all the Superpowers figures or Transformers that I want, or the G.I. Joes I want, why are you buying me this trash? There are cheaper things you could buy me that would make me happier. I don't understand this figure. Was kind of my attitude. I couldn't articulate it as a kid, but that's really how I felt. Yeah, I remember those cards being kind of, they were okay. But for the money, that's not bad for what it is. But 6 figures into vehicles for $250, if they're all my own creation or mint on card, sorry, I had to say it. I think it's a good pull for sure. What more coffee do I have in this thing? Not enough, chat. Not enough. There's a retro blaster today, isn't there? Just realized that. Wasn't even thinking when I went live. So I like having the shows butt up, but I just did not consider that this morning. So if there is one, I don't know if I can hold the line for 3 hours, but if I can, I will. I have done stranger things in my day, for sure. Samurai figure was wired. Was it wired to the card, or was it wires inside of it? What do you mean by that? And then, hey, they just went to eBay, saw the figures for in a carded vehicle, front cover was map of the set. Okay. Sculpts are good. Jeff Barker, welcome, sir. For all of its flaws, I still love the Dealer Rented Student movie, still listen to parts of the soundtrack almost every day. Yeah, I'm not trying to, poo-poo platter Dune. I was not the audience for Dune. I never came around to reading the book or rewatching the film. I just remember being obscenely bored as a child trying to get through it. My parents never talked about it, and the toy just was kind of like the pariah of my collection. Doesn't mean that I think that they shouldn't keep trying to do something good for the fans. Doesn't mean that there's no validity in it as a movie or as a book or anything else. It's just not for me, right? Kind of like My Little Pony. I think it's a totally valid franchise, totally valid lore. I think the reboot is probably one of the smartest things they could have done with that brand, and there's a reason people like it. It's compelling storytelling for them, and it's cool. Nothing wrong with that. Bjorn Jorgensen says, I saw something rare at my Walmart yesterday, full pegs of everything. That's crazy. Jeff Parker says, I totally agree. The movie is really bad on an objective level. And Michael Schaefer with the new news. Retro Blasting has the Patreon stream today around 3 p.m. Eastern. Okay, so I don't have to... Okay, Fair enough. I'm not going to try and hold that line. Jeez Louise. Ted Millich says, found the audiobook on YouTube the other day, was better than I expected. Fair enough. Christmas time. That's good. I like that. I like that, Johnny. I'm going to use that. I can't. I don't know why. I don't know what movie is that from? I wish I could remember that. I just always say that all the time. I want to say it's Karate Kid 3? Is that what it is? No idea. So, do I have anything else I can put up here that's handy? Actually, yeah, I do. Just to show contrast, right? Whoop! Did I just screw up the power on my thing? Whew! Almost took out my monitor. That was fun. It was not fun, chat. It was not fun. I need a different stand for these guys. Which one? Go with it. By the way, this is a great book. Get one. And these guys used to be on an angled platform. They always lean back a little bit. But on my Instagram, we'll just do that just for fun. Just for funsies, just to add some contrast, right? But if you follow me on Instagram, you know that these two guys are just friends hanging out, asking innate questions about things. So, and it is a hint of things to come, by the way. Like, there's something coming with those. I don't want to spoil, but it was hinted at in an earlier video. Your Jorgensen says, I'd like another Stargate movie. Saw it the other day for the first time in a while. I don't have an issue whatsoever with that mythos or that series or anything. It just doesn't quite appeal to me. But I'd like to see someone take another stab at it for sure. Brendan Haley says, damn, forgot about Stargate. I have about 10 Cardis SG-1 Stargate figures carded downstairs. One mail away, got into it 2005 to the first horse, want to get back to some sci-fi. Fair enough. That sounds like an interesting toy line to look at. Ted is currently sitting on the deck looking at the Gulf of Mexico and hanging with some of RH. Some of the coolest people online. Oh, haha. Well, obviously, I'm just the facilitator, and I'm not in that. I understand that, though. Anthony Whitehead says, how close are you to completing your Superpowers collection? As I am completely ignoring Series 3, with two exceptions. I like the Batcopter, but I'm getting the 8990 version from the Dark Knight collection because it's more accessible and I like it better in black. So I'm technically getting one at some point. It's readily available. You can get it, new in the box relatively inexpensively. And the other thing from that was I wouldn't mind getting a Justice Jogger from Series 3. Just for the lulls, as the kids say. Plus to rub it in Gojitron's face because he keeps asking me when I'm going to do a review of it. I'm like, when I find one that's a price that I'm willing to part with the money for, honestly. I am hoping to see that one in a store somewhere, boxed for. I have a price in my head, and I wouldn't mind having that. Just for the this is how ridiculous Series. People go, why don't you have Series 3 of it? Because they made this. That's kind of in my head why I would get that. But to answer your question a bit more directly, I would say that I am 3 retail figures away, and they're not uncommon figures, plus the mail away of Clark Kent. I have been watching several of them recently, and I would say, barring any unforeseen circumstances, there's a good chance that by the end of the month or early next month, I would probably have them. Matt Swafford from Reclaimers Vintage is at a toy show this weekend, and he is on the prowl for me for those. If he can find me a better deal, great. If not, no big deal. I can probably find them pretty easily. Because again, these are not hard to find figures that I'm missing. When I was thinking about doing Series 2 as a collection, because it was always, the goal was I have to have Series 1. I have everything in Series 1. Period. I'm good. My Hall of Justice, spoilers, is complete. I'll be doing that video here sometime very soon. This month is very busy, so it'll probably not come until after Halloween at this point, just because things are so busy here. I have a convention appearance in 2 weeks, and what that means, because it's Retropalooza, I'm going to be there for the entire time. Not just doing the thing, but also helping them out and stuff because they're my friends. I always wanted Series 1. I got Series 1. But the Series 2 thing that brought me over the edge was getting a Desaad at a decent price. If I can get a Desaad at a decent price, I'll go after the rest of these. And that's exactly what happened. So, Series 1, Series 2, and I have all the vehicles for Series 2. The only thing I'm missing to complete my Series 2 vehicle collection is like 2 small parts, which I went over in my last video. But, like, right on the cusp there. Right on the cusp. Jordan Jorgensen says, my friend has some superpower stuff in his shop. Next time I'm in town, I'll take a look. I'll give you the list, my brother. I'll give you the list. I appreciate you. Stargate Figures will be by Diamond Select. And yes, Newcastle. Reclaimers Toys on Instagram. That's right. And there are figures for the movie and the TV show. I knew about the movie ones, didn't know about the TV show ones, which I find kind of interesting. Yes, he did, Newcastle. I was there, where I accused all of this of being his fault. Because he was the person that sold me my first vintage figures that I've ever bought. Like, old figures rebuying. I've never done that before. And he sold me a Lex Luthor and a Steppenwolf figure. Series 1, Series 2. And although I think I came to the conclusion that the one he sold me was a mail-in as opposed to a retail. We're not certain of this. I have to double-check the stamp on him. But in any case, he sold me those two, and I said, well, if this transaction works out, I'm going to go all in. As soon as I held them in my hand, I was in like Flynn. So I kind of blame the greater Iconicon community, like everybody, for inspiring me to even think about it, like really seriously. I've been teasing myself with it for months and months and months, years really. And then Iconicon pushed me over the edge, and Reclaimers Vintage provided the opportunity. So I just blame him. Brenda Hayes says, okay guys, I gotta get some sleep. Y'all take care. It's a jungle out there. It's a jungle out there. Have a good day, Brendan. Appreciate you. Love you. Always good to see you, my friend. Newcastle says, trusted seller, fair prices. Everything on eBay is so marked up because of eBay fees. Never knew people sell figures on Instagram. Yeah, he definitely does that, and he's got, it's always good condition, very good price. You know, probably one of, if not the best toy dealer I've ever dealt with. And that's saying something. I've dealt with a lot of really good ones. But he's very personable. He's very honest. He's very upfront. It's no bullshit approach. You never get I've never got the impression this guy is out to make a ton of money. Guy has a day job. He's just trying to perpetuate giving good deals to people on good toys. I can't fault him for that. Bjorn says he got the new TBC Lando figure. Face can's not bad. Good. Jeff Barker says, Mr. Swafford's been a recipient of much of my extra dollars of late. Great guy. Definitely. Anytime I can have a chat with him, I will do that. and he has a lot of great insight into toys and so forth, and great resource, great friend. Can't say enough good things about Matt Swafford. Michael Schaefer says, Matt's a great guy. Helped me get a complete Skybolt. Nice. For a friend at a great price. Michael Schaefer may not know this. I'm a great, big, gigantic Centurions enthusiast. I had everything as a kid, with like one or two of the expansion suits. I think I had all the characters. I had all the expansion suits, or the, whatever you call them, for the heroes. I didn't have a lot of extra stuff for the villains. Really liked the concept of the toys, enjoyed the heft, enjoyed the whole thing was really cool. And by the time I was really getting into it, they were starting to go on clearance, so it was easier to get stuff, right? Some stuff became harder to find, but you can go into a Big Lots and get like one of the expansion sets for like, $2-3 or something. And I remember my Ace McCloud. I played with that guy so much, he got so loose, like his head came off or something, or his arm, it was his left arm came off. And I was like, Mom, I have all these accessories for this figure, but the figure's broken. I need another one. She goes, well, why'd you break him? I'm like, I didn't break him. I wasn't playing with him too rough. He was just fragile. She goes, okay, but why should I buy you another one? He's fragile. I was like, Mom, they're on sale. They're cheaper now. She goes, fine. And she got me one. And I, again, play with Ace McCloud more than any other figure for some reason. I don't know why. I was like, yeah, he's in Florida like you, looking for some to purchase. Perfect. Just goes, would that friend be named Tony, Mr. Schaefer? Someone else. Because it would be cool to get some accessories for the 1984 figures I bought, but damn, they are around $50 on eBay. For the Dune figures, you can probably get some repro stuff because I've seen Dune repro stuff around. You just had a look. And I do see where you said 84 Jim. Right on. But yeah, Centurions are great. There's a few lines that kind of crept their way in, and for me, that was Air Raiders, Starriers, and certainly Centurions. Like, I had a lot of fun with those. Sky Commanders, I've talked about on the channel before. I really enjoy those a lot, but as a collector, they're impractical for many reasons. Michael Church says, the Centurions, while now expensive, are extremely underappreciated and amazing line. I agree. I think the level of detail and the versatility of the toys are the things that really make them something special. They're just fun. Really enjoy them. There is a lag for Newcastle, and most of you, I'm sure. And so I'm just waiting for them to see when I say Sky Commanders. I love Sky Commanders. Absolutely adored the Sky Commanders. I've talked about it on the channel where like you would, string up your room and have all this fun playing with them. But then if you had to go to the bathroom or it was dinner time or something, like part of playtime was getting yourself out of that mess. And I don't feel like, for me anyway, collecting them is practical because displaying those accurately would take up more space than any other toy line because you have to have like the space for all these things to go and find a way to like freeze a guy midway through going something like that. So it's a hard sell for me in that respect. You guys look at fun toys, hard to display. Right, exactly. And that's the thing, Michael, that you're saying, Michael Schaefer, that the weapon system were modular, completely reconfigurable. I am certain that I reconfigured things outside of, what each suit was meant to do, and I had like a super suit for each figure that I preferred. Like certain guns in certain places and certain helmets with different things. Like there's a couple of the like addendum suits. Wow. He's falling over on me like it's cool. I wish you wouldn't do that. And spend all this money to get you full swords and keep you nice. You have to go and fall over in the middle of a stream. It's just really, really rude, guys. It's just really rude. Wish you wouldn't do that. I'll fix you up. I'll fix you up. Jeez. Did I knock them over? But there was, but yeah, I would, there was one of the suits for the green one, the aquatic guy. I forget his name, and I'm sorry for that. But the helmet was just really hokey, and I liked his original helmet better, so I just boop, put the right helmet on, and Michael Schaefer here is saying even on the cartoon they would combine different systems to combat the threat. Absolutely. Absolutely. Max Ray. Yep. As soon as you say it, I'm like, oh yeah, of course his name is Max Ray. You have Ace Cloud, Max Ray, and then Yellow Guy. And Max Ray, Ace McCloud, and Yellow Guy. You know, early prototype for the frickin' what you call it? Oh, geez, Captain Planet, because Earth, Wind, Water, all that shit. Like, then you had the Wheeled Warriors, which I loved to death. And I would mix and match those quite a bit. And I almost started buying those a couple months ago. But the documentation is so dicey, even with Michael's guide, which is very good. I can't do it. Loved those to death, though. Loved them. Kieran Ball says, He-Man Skeletor just sell the prices of Centurions on eBay. Not wrong. Michael says, Jake Rockwell, Rugged Land Operative Specialist. Yes. Jake Rockwell, Max Ray, Ace McCloud. They are ambiguous. Newcastle says, might be a tired subject, but do you think vintage toy prices have gone up because of artificial inflation or because of the pandemic? Yes. I think both of those things are true. And it's funny you bring that up, Newcastle. Because I'm choking, sorry. Sorry, I went down the wrong pipe. I have a video that's already in the can. It's already uploaded. I'm going to schedule the premiere tomorrow, because I'm giving patrons a chance to watch it over the weekend. But it'll be coming out on Thursday evening, and it is about the concept of perceived value. Okay, and I do talk about how different people, depending upon where you're coming from and what the condition of a toy is, and where you are in the world, and when you grew up, like all these things will contribute to your perceived value of something. And when you're selling something, you have those same factors. And then there's also things like the shipping prices on eBay being inflated because they're trying to avoid eBay fees and all kinds of things. So, and that's the beginning of what I hope will be a series talking about the concepts behind why we pay as much as we pay, or should have to pay for these toys. So, not a tired subject at all, because I am starting a series on that exact subject. So, look for a long-form video on that Thursday, and make sure to comment the hell out of that video, because I'm taking the comments to inform where that series goes. So, Jake Rockwell, Rugged Land Operations Specialist. Fair enough. You're like, I have to correct that. Jeff Parker says, Yellow Guy superpower was spreading jaundice. Not wrong. You know, he's like, kidney failure! Michael Schaefer says, I wish they would have made a Shadow, Jake's dog. Shadow had a missile launcher harness. That would have been really cool. They didn't make enough animal companion figures. I agree with that. Newcastle says, I still can't find Zartan's thigh. Zartan's thigh? Like, just from his knee to his waist? Thigh pads. Okay. I was like, for less than $50 each has been incomplete on my shelf for years. There's gotta be. I know there's repro of those, unless you're like anti-repro or something. Michael Schaefer here referencing the Power Rangers saying, I've never watched that, but it sounds very familiar. Yeah, I get that. I watched it once or twice, and I was like, this is horrible. I don't want to watch it. At the time, anyway. I understand why it's important in history and why kids went gaga over it. It's fine for what it is. I was never a big fan. The modern movie they did was fun. I enjoyed that a lot more. But still not my thing. Which is weird. Being a huge kaiju fan, you would think I would be a mark for Power Rangers, but it's the jumpsuits that got me, and the American acting going, like, I can't with that trash. I can't do it. Can't. Sorry. Newcastle says, if I have to pay $50 for an original accessory, then I'm 100% for repro. There you go. You got to get really creative with the searching, but I'm sure someone out there, almost certainly, has those Zartan knee pads in repro for sale. I'm all about that life, man. It's something. I won an auction last night on a specific accessory for the Superpowers line, and I did the math in my head, and the combined price I paid for the figure and this accessory was still $15 or $20 less than the lowest price I'd seen for that figure with that accessory. So I was like, okay, I can justify this. But it was still way more than I wanted to spend for the damn thing, that's for sure. I don't understand it. It will complete that figure, which is great. Less work for me, that's great. But at the same time, you're like your heart starts to hurt a little bit. And yeah, me too, Bjorn. I've said it many times on this channel, like, if you can get a repro, get a repro. And for those that haven't seen this, let me find the actual bag here. It's like right under here. It's floating around here somewhere. Give me a second. Should never put the napkins here. So I have this And I'm back. This is one of the advantages to using StreamYard, is that if your computer has a problem and the stream's going, StreamYard just keeps broadcasting even if you're not in it. So, sorry about that. But I did find what I was looking for sure. So, these are Repro. This is a bowstring and 2 arrows for a green arrow, for those of you who haven't seen them. And they're beautiful. I had to go through some hoops to get them, because the guy does them, but he said multiple times, like, I don't know if I want to do these anymore. And I talked him into it. And then the guy had a bunch of shipping problems. I'm going to be doing a supplemental video, probably will film it today, and just doing like some shout outs to some sellers and some viewers and stuff like that, just to kind of, and also like a channel, kind of like an all encompassing like thing. And patrons are going to get a state of the channel video as well. So it's going to be a busy day for me in a good way. This is a reproduction ramp for the Hall of Justice. For the amount that this guy was charging, I couldn't say no. It's also a solid piece, whereas the original was very hollow. So this is very sturdy. It's a really, really good piece. And so I decided to go repro to complete the Hall of Justice for the simple fact that, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? When it's better than the original. It's better than the original, and it's cheaper. I find that with a lot of repro stuff. They improve on the original design and make it sturdier. So I don't see any reason why you wouldn't do that. And this guy's really good. This is also from a guy who is doing his darndest to create the Tower of Doom playset that was never released by Kenner for Series 3. He's working on a prototype, and I'm trying to get in on that stuff. So, it should be fun. I want to see if that transmits to YouTube, because I'm pretty mad here in a minute. Okay, it did go through. All right. Just trying to make sure y'all can see me. I'm talking a blue streak here. Let me check and see. I guess I could actually play on YouTube, huh? Okay, cool. All right, we're all here. All right, good. Thank you. Thank you. I was scared for a minute. Did you hear my whole thing about repros or no? Okay, all right, you did. All right, okay, cool. There was just a long freaking, okay. All right. I appreciate it. Jeff Parker says, repro materials and 3D printing in general have gotten so good unless you chemically analyze something as perfect. It can be. I like the fact that this guy took the time to make this akin to an original without making it indistinguishable, because the solid nature of it makes it indistinguishable. And you have the texture that's very similar to the original, but at the same time, it's different. So there's no way that you can mistake this for the real thing. No way you can mistake it for the real thing. But it's good. This is good. This is very, very good. Cool. We can hear everything. Awesome. Good stuff. You guys are the best. Thanks for sticking around when these little things happen. This is why I use StreamYard at this point. Once I get out of this place and get into a place that has better internet, I'm going to be more likely to be streaming directly from OBS when I don't have a guest. If I'm going to have a guest on, then I'll go to StreamYard for that, because it's very different setup, and I have a lot more capabilities when I'm doing that. So that's okay. Same but different, exactly. It has to be same but different, meaning used for the same purpose but different enough so that people are like, I hate those people to death. Hate it. Let me get a piece of plastic that makes me feel better. You keep your pieces of plastic that make you feel better. Michael Shaver says, aren't the first two waves of Hasbro the retro collection reproductions? Why no outrage for those? That question has been asked in more channels than I can think of, and in the comments, and I agree 100% they are reproductions. They are professionally produced reproductions, but they are 100% repro. You are 100% correct. And they are not vintage original, and the anti-repro community can suck it. They just need to calm the fuck down, frankly. Bjorn Jorgensen says, Grandpa hasn't woken up yet, so I have nothing else to do. Well, I'm glad that you're still here, even if it's by default. I'm glad you're still here if it's by default. So I appreciate it. But I have absolutely zero issue with that kind of stuff, for sure. Jeff Parker says, I am picking up a Power of the Force 2 Imperial Shuttle today. That's repro. True. Part repro, part redesign, though, with the Power of the Force 2 stuff, as I recall. Like, it's mostly repro. And I am looking at some Power of the Force 2 stuff. Friend of the channel is like, hey, I've got some of these, and I'm not trying to get rich off them. Tell me what you're looking for. So I might be taking the plunge here. They mostly come at night. Yeah, mostly. Yeah, I get you. Whee. But, so yeah, boxes. I think in the case of things like Power of the Force 2, I think the boxes are like, it depends upon where your head's at. Like, I have no real nostalgia for the Power of the Force line at all, aside from having a memory of seeing them and going, I don't want these. Not really realizing that the vehicles would work with the vintage stuff, and had I realized it at the time, it would have been nothing for me to go buy those vehicles and then go buy some vintage figures at a yard sale or something. Then I would be like, oh, sweet, But I wasn't thinking at the time, so I don't know that I would save the boxes for those if I had them. I honestly don't know. I'd have to see them in person again to figure out where my head's at. But then you see a lot of those Star Wars superfan documentaries where you got these guys that have like walls of carded figures, and I'm like, dude, what are you doing? But on the same token, someone who collects toys exclusively sees my wall of CDs or a wall of Blu-rays and movies or a wall of any of that kind of stuff. Heavy metal memorabilia would be like, what are you doing? So everyone has to collect in the way that's good for them, whether they want the box or not, whether they want the packaging or not, whether they want to put them on pegs or not. I think that that's for that person to decide. But for me, I am very alarmed when I see mint on card figures of vintage just sitting on pegs on a wall. I'm like, what? I don't understand the enjoyment one would get from that. I don't understand how they don't have the compulsion to take it out and play with it just a little bit, put it back on the shelf. That I do. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying I don't understand it completely. I can certainly understand having loose stuff and then also having a box copy. Like you display the box copies around like your room or something. Like, I get that. But only having the box and not touching them it's a foreign concept for my psyche, for sure. Jeff Parker says that his Imperial shuttle is in the box. Never really been a box collector, though. Just always wanted a shuttle. Debate on saving the boxes, especially for new figures. I get you. Bjorn Jorgensen says that he used to have a wall of Hot Wheels. And that, I think, to a lesser degree, I can understand. Or to a greater degree, I can understand. Just because, like, how many cars do you need rolling around? Like, that I kind of get. But I think everyone's different, right? Maybe it's just that I haven't found the toy line that I would be compelled to do that with, but I don't think so. When the toy line that I love most in the world, Superpowers collection, and I go to the groups and I see all these guys that have these carded figures, and I'm just like, you guys are insane. Like, you guys are just, what are you doing? Like, I do not understand the mindset of these people. And if that's my favorite toy line of all time, which it certainly is, and I have that feeling about it, I don't think there's a toy line that's going to come along where I go, ooh, I have to have all of those hanging on the wall in the card. But maybe that's just cynicism talking. Maybe that's me being a cheapskate. Maybe it's my way of metabolizing that I'll never have the money to do that. I don't know. So if someone were to just show up with like a truckload of everything on card, sealed in box, all the Superpower stuff through Series 2 that I already have, I don't know that I would need to open them because I already have the stuff loose. But then that begs the question: would I display them? I don't know. Probably, but that would be like someone just handing them to me. You know, a couple $1,000 worth of merchandise, just saying, "Here, you can have these because you love it." I honestly don't know what I would do in that situation, aside from cry a little bit. You know, but it would be cool. Jeff Barker says, I've got to go. Thanks for the stream. Love what you're doing. I love what you're doing, Jeff. Thank you so much, and you have a great rest of your day. We'll see you around soon. See you around soon. So I'm going to give it a go for another 6-7 minutes till the top of the hour. We've covered a lot of stuff. I've had a lot of fun. I enjoy you guys. And to be honest, I am out of coffee. I have coffee in the brewer. It's like everyone's got stuff to do. It's early, it's, Saturday morning. I could shoot these videos for you guys, I guess. And no, the live stream was not meant to like push off that responsibility. I almost went full walk, and they're like, no, yawn. Michael Schaefer does a way better Christopher Walken than I'll ever do. But his impression is, shall I say, much better. And I wasn't really trying there, by the way. It was just inflection. It's fun. It's weird. Impressions are easier for me to do when I'm not wearing headphones because I can hear my voice better. But when I'm hearing everything inside the resonance of my skull, I know that my voice is distorted. So impressions just suck. Unless it's something that I just remember how to do. Like a Bill Cosby impression I can pull off pretty well anywhere. And that's about it. Now that I'm thinking about it. Now that I'm on the spot. So, what are you going to do? But, so those of you that are here or were here will probably get a kick out of the fact that I'm not going to change anything for the videos that I'm recording. Because why would I? I've got the set ready to go, got these guys behind me. I'm wearing something that's distinguishable from all the other videos that I have up this week and next. There's no reason not to record them this way. And someone's going to say, put on XYZ shirt or put on the different hat or something. No, I'm lazy. I'm going to just do this. I'm happy with this. I'm confident in my fashion sense, for sure. For sure. There's really not a lot going on in the community today, aside from the aforementioned Patreon live stream later today. And then tomorrow's the big day for Michael and Tony and Bobby. It's weird. Like, I've been used to the last few weekends at just being chock full. And then this weekend's kind of like, whatever. It's an interesting question to wrap up the stream with, Bjorn. I have to say I like it. Bjorn Jorgensen asks, if I were an action figure, which card box would I be on or in? That's a great question. I don't think that an action figure of me lends itself to a Superpowers card back, although that would be cool. I would say there's a few. So like vintage Motu cards are great. I think that would work for so many characters. I really like the Star Wars card backs. Yeah, probably vintage Motu or Starriers. Although the Motu Origins card back that says, retro play, modern posing retro play. I think that would be cool for me, for sure. Kieran Ball says, I'm the same way with underwear. Don't change just because other people say so. Hey, we've all got our cross to bear. And look, man, sometimes those flies become your friends. And, everyone needs friends, Kieran. So keep fighting the good fight, brother. Keep fighting the good fight. But yeah, I think Superpowers would be the obvious choice, but I don't think that a character that looks like me would work on those card backs, for lack of a better term. I think like Starriers or He-Man probably. I can't picture this in Shirion's card backs in my head. It was more of a box, as I recall. So I don't think that I don't have any interchangeable pieces anyway. Yeah, surprise Starriers or He-Man. I think so. But I tell you, this has been an absolute blast. I think we got through all the major points pretty quickly and had a great discussion, and you guys stuck through it with a lot of cool stuff. But I'm going to go shoot some videos now, have some more coffee, and I will see you guys. Oh, for those of you that weren't here yesterday, I want to schedule this as well. It's one of the things I have to do. I will see you guys Monday evening at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll be chatting with Scuba Pete to talk about all things toys and stuff like that. Yes, I would be a knockoff Motu Origins figure, which they don't make those yet. I really hope someone comes around and starts doing like Remco Origins. Like, I would love that. A Remco Origins line would be amazing. If someone could pull that off. Somebody needs to buy the rights to Remco and just make Motu Origins knockoff figures just like the old Remco stuff. And I could have all my cool Remco stuff. That would be the best. That would be the absolute best. For sure. But I'm going to go ahead and go. And I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day, wonderful weekend, and we'll see you all very soon. Cheers, guys.